Hello, 17th and 18th October have been phenomenal. With this beautiful workshop on bilingualism, it wasn't long ago that training deaf people used to be considered difficult. But here, I'm surprised to see and meet these smart deaf trainees who have come from Panchkula studying DEDHI or DTISL course. In these 2 days of workshop, I was given the responsibility of mentoring them, but they're already so brilliant. In 2001, we never used to have such deaf trainees. And now we have such skilled deaf people. In these 2 days of training, I believe that the learning and teamwork has helped us to understand and decide that we must set up a bilingual teachers network or association. Deaf students have been suffering with the low quality of education and a variety of issues. That's why we plan that we will have a core group of teachers who are working or undergoing training so that we can probably organize a conference to make final decisions about this group. We have more than 40 deaf teachers along with some hearing teachers who want to learn more about it. We probably need more workshops and exchange of ideas, sharing of learnings. We cannot be selfish about knowledge because deaf education is in a deplorable state. We need to have more learning opportunities so that within few years we can strengthen the deaf education system and see that change with the quality education. That's my dream. I'm sure that's your dream as well. Come, let's communicate, work together, learn together, and do this. Thank you. Bilingual education is critical. Teachers need to share their experiences, come up with a pool of ideas, not just for our benefit, but for the deaf students, so that they can become better. What we're doing right now is not enough. We need to support each other so that we can build a strong structure for lifelong development. The diploma level learnings in the DED and the sign language courses need to be applied to subject teaching. Today was just a beginning. But I hope with all your support, we can continuously develop. In the last 2 days, we all teachers have understood the responsibility of applying bilingual strategies. We probably have fluency in L1, but how to acquire L2 of reading and writing, that's the point. For that, teachers need to be empowered and skilled. And we have discussed it. It was a complex process, but we did enjoy a lot. Several ideas were shared about curriculum, about society, how to teach. The point is we improve the learning and make an impact. We can teach deaf students utilizing variety of teaching learning methodologies. And improvement can be seen once we are led properly. This is how we can attain the objective of bilingual education. The traditional methods of teaching might not be very beneficial for the deaf students. We need to interact with them, exchange ideas, have visual aids of different topics so that they're stimulated creatively and come up with new ideas. I found the presentations quite exciting. My doubts were cleared and I feel I have learned a lot. Such conferences are very important so that teachers can introspect and improve on their mistakes and the overall quality of deaf education can rise. There were so many important learnings. How we can adapt deaf education, and teachers need to connect with the deaf students. Also, deaf teachers and hearing teachers need to collaborate. If the deaf teachers only focus on their own development and ignore the hearing teachers or vice versa, the system will not work. We need to collaborate and work together if we want to see the change. There were some learnings, there were some earned learnings. Earned learnings as in the traditional methods of teaching and learning which were not appropriate, such as only focusing on top scorers and ignoring the weak students. This is how the system has been. But percentages are not important. It is the intrinsic skill and interest of the student so that they can uniquely develop. We need to let go of practices which don't work and update ourselves. This wasn't the usual workshop where people come and deliver lectures. I really like the idea that the participants decided on the theme of the workshop. They wrote down their ideas on the chits of paper. These topics were summarized and collected into sub themes on which the workshop focused, and moving forward, we will be working on it. One of the ideas I like was the reverse adaptation in deaf education system. In the traditional method, we focus first on the subject knowledge, then how to teach, and third is communication, right? But in deaf education, we need to reverse this. So it's very different from the traditional ways. First is communication, second is how to teach, and third is subject knowledge. So this reverse adaptation in deaf education can help us teach better. We can apply this and see for ourselves. Primarily, the discussions were about bilingual education, but it was also focused on some tips on improving leadership skills, on accountability, giving responsibility, mentoring. Thirdly, English grammar games. Reading about English grammar can be tedious, so it might be better to have games and activities to facilitate literacy. Even a young child of 2.5 years can read and write. Isn't that incredible? We're all aware that without language, foundation for learning cannot be there. Teachers need to be fluent in sign language and give that foundation so that language can be acquired, literacy can be built. We all think that 4 to 5 is the age students started writing, but it can happen at earlier age if teachers are skilled. We need to work harder. Let's be positive. There were a lot of learnings. I'll share 3 key points. First, we need to move away from the labels of pass and fail and just motivate for joy of learning. Need to move away from the competitive model of education. Secondly, we have a lot of funders and CSR supporters who are encouraging bilingual education. Let's think of them as somebody pumping water of a water pump. If the water comes, then only the person would put the pressure. Same goes for the funders. They bring deaf teachers in the hope of seeing the success of bilingual education. If they don't see the outcome, they might not further fund the programs. So that was a learning. Thirdly, deaf education has unlimited opportunities. We can't be stuck in just language and literacy part of it. There has to be passion in whatever you do. It has to bring you happiness. If you aren't happy, whatever work you do, it would lack something. It'll just be work for the sake of it. You would not be able to bring your best quality. So you need to like what you do. It has to make you happy. And then it becomes delightful. You connect more. I feel that's really important. As teachers, we can't only be thinking about personal development. When our fellow teachers or colleagues need support or help, we should be there to support them. There needs to be connection between us. We need to support each other so that the deaf students can learn better. Doing this, we would have a personal growth as well as professional growth for everyone around us. That's what being a teacher means to me. I've had previous experiences of such discussions and workshops, so I wasn't afraid. In front of deaf leaders or experts, we need to be confident to share. Similarly, for deaf students, we need to allow them to have a fearless environment. Just because leaders are there, we can't be with folded hands. We need to interact and provide similar connection with deaf children. For teachers, it's extremely important to connect with the students and introspect. Among the teachers also, we need to have a bond so that we can discuss and figure out how to improve overall education. When we come here for offline workshops, the discussions give us more ideas on how to improve classroom teaching. The early intervention teachers in 8 centers, plus the DTISL trainees and the DA trainees, when we discuss and interact. We're able to see multiple perspectives, analyze the do's and the don'ts for a better collaborative teaching. I had assumed that there'll be lectures, but no, there were group discussions and activities. Creative ideas were shared. It was very exciting. But I think the time was not enough. We need more. Hopefully, we'll have more workshops in future.